I'm Jan Bloemink, Sitecore Architect at UXB. Today I talk about how to work with items as resources in Sitecore 10.2 and I show you some custom tools. First, item as resources is a new way of storing Sitecore own items stored in a file instead of the database. Modules can also use item as resources. This makes it easy to update. You can also use item as resources for your own items. The new way of deploying items to Sitecore. No need to run Sitecore content serialization or Unicorn on production. Just deploy a file with items. If you compare serialization with item as resources, the behavior is a bit different. Deploying a new item as a resource file will not change the item if it is overwritten, compared to serialization that overwrite the item. Let me explain what an overwritten resource item is. You can easily overwrite a resource item by changing it in the content editor. Then the changed item is stored into the SQL database and basically overwrite the item from the resource file. The file itself is read-only. You can restore the resource item by deleting the changed version from the database. Out of the box, you see in the Sitecore editor no difference between an item as a resource or a SQL database item. Therefore, I created a content editor warning. Now you can see this item is coming from a resource file. It's also possible to give a dialog box when you try to overwrite the resource item. I can change the display name. And I push the save button. I get a message if I really want to overwrite this one. It's okay for me. I overwrite it. You also need to see the warning. It disappeared because it is now coming from the database instead of a resource file. You can find this code on GitHub. This warning can prevent accidental overwrite a resource item, but it don't tell you from which resource file the item comes. You don't see this warning on an already overwritten item. Therefore, I have another solution. A Sitecore PowerShell rapportage. Find overwritten resource items. When you start to report, you can choose which resource files you want to check. I chose one of my own. You can choose if you want to display all resource items in the file or just the one that are overwritten. I choose now for all items. You can see from which file the item is coming, and you can see if it is overwritten. You can also sort. I have two overwritten resource items in the files I checked. Now with this PowerShell rapportage, you now know exactly which items are in which resource file, and you can also see which one are overwritten. Thank you for watching.